Okay, so it's really important to talk about narcissists and how to recognize them and how to get out from under narcissistic abuse. But it's equally important to talk about all the things that happen after you do get out of the narcissistic system or you go no contact or low contact. It's important to talk about the things that happen then. So today I was just thinking about a couple incidents I've had during the week with people whom uh, people who kind of get your spider sense tingling, that Spider-Man reference where you can just tell, okay, this is a problematic person or this is a narcissist. And problematic not meaning the stupid woke way of problematic of you have a difference of opinion politically than I do. I'm saying problematic in that this is a person who is actively seeking to inflict harm or to cause confusion or both, right? So I bring that up because what you're going to find, or at least I should say in my experience, what I found and what I've often heard other people who have survived narcissistic abuse have found, is that as soon as you label the destructive force in your life as being narcissistic and you go back in your memory and you replay the stories in your head and you see the patterns of abuse and the mechanisms for abuse, you will start to see that in other people. The people in your life who you feel kind of about, right? Whom I guess previously you may have said to yourself, okay, that's kind of a weird person, but whatever. After you go no contact with your personal narc, people like that, right, are going to almost feel like they're intolerable. They're going to almost feel like you don't want to deal with them at all because now you've picked up, you've cracked the code. You know what goes into the baking of the cake being a narcissistic personality or narcissistic and or just abusive practices. Okay, I know not everybody in the world is a narcissist, and I do know that that term is thrown around a lot, but there are a lot of people with narcissistic tendencies. We all have them because we are all innately selfish because we all want to keep our life force going, right? If you're starving on an island and you find a package of food and you're there with someone else, you're probably going to think about not telling them about that package of food you found because you want to be able to survive as long as you can. And of course, that's another mouth to feed, right? You may not be so selfish as to do that, but the thought will cross your mind. So, as a living organism, we are inherently selfish. So, not everybody's a narcissist, but many people display narcissistic tendencies, ourselves included. It's all a matter of scale, right? So, you know, but long story short, you're going to find a lot of people that are drawn to you and they have these personality deficits. Um, they get energy from harm. They get energy from chaos. They try to fill you out. They're always watching you for some kind of reaction, right? You're gonna find more that you see more of these people around you. And the thing about it is they've always been there. You just weren't able to call them what it was or label you know label them and categorize them appropriately. But once you open your eyes to the patterns of narcissism, you will see them and it'll feel like they're everywhere because, and this is the central point, the reason they're drawn to you is because another narcissist got to you. Okay, because another narcissist turns you into a people pleaser or a person who avoids people, such as me. I generally tend to avoid. I'm not a people pleaser, thank God, because that would be horrible. But I do avoid people, and that's not the best because you tend to have your social skills erode and your social stamina erode when you just enjoy being on your own. You know, but they sniff something on you, and it's almost like I did a video a while back, and I deleted it because I just thought it just wasn't my best video. And in that video, I said, they're like vampires. right? It's like a vampire feeding on you, narcissist. Let's say your mom, your dad, your grandma, whomever was your narcissist, right? They feed on you and they drain you, but when during the course of getting what they need from you, they imprint on you, and they put something on you. It's almost like they plant a chip in you or something. I know this is a shitty mismatch of metaphors, but bear with me. They put something in you. Long story short, they put something in you that causes other narcissists to sniff you out, because what they've done is they've opened you up to the world. They've opened you up to negativity because they have subjected you to constant overwhelming negativity. And there's a road within you that allows access for that now, if that makes any sense. And so any narcissist within the surrounding radius, within your vicinity, is going to energetically pick up on that. Now, that's not even an intellectual thing, I don't believe. I believe we're a lot more sensitive to energy than we realize. I think a lot of us who are narcissistic are empaths or empathic. I don't get too into the crystals and the chakras and all that shit, but I've seen enough evidence to know that empaths are a real thing. So what these people do is they clue in on the fact that we're empaths and that we've been harmed. And I think for them, on some deep instinctual level, they feel like, okay, ding, 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 that's the dinner bell. I can have fun with this person, I can provoke this person, or I can get this person to feel obligated to do X, Y, Z, blah, 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 right? But, okay, that's all happening. But if you've got no contact and you've chosen to have a life where you engage with narcissists as little as possible, and if you've also chosen to have a life where you contend with them from a place of power, from a place of non-capitulation, then it's going to be a totally different scenario, because they're going to approach you, but they won't be able to hurt you anymore, because you'll know the game. You will have studied their patterns. You'll know exactly what they're doing, and you'll understand what they're trying to get from you. You know, you'll absolutely see it. And one of my biggest tactics is I just absolutely ignore them. I ignore them. I never react to the way that they might anticipate that I'll react. I tend to do the opposite, or I do nothing at all. And I really just basically let them know you're not even worth a thought. You're not even worth me coming up with a game plan, kind of a thing. And that has worked, to my benefit. But it's gonna feel very adversarial for you for a while, because you've acquired some new powers, and we're in an ever more narcissistic world. Every day you see things, in the news, and all the different trends in social media with people who just have to have a camera in their face doing the most mundane things, like tying their shoes or trying a milkshake, and maybe this is me looking for attention myself, so I'm not trying to say I'm better than anyone, but the world is definitely getting more narcissistic. There was a woman who, it was a big story. Apparently, she left her baby, like this little 1 year old baby girl, in her bassinet and took off, on vacation for 10 days to Puerto Rico and some other place. I don't recall. I was still just blown away by the leaving the baby alone, with no food or water, or anyone to change a soiled diaper for 10 fucking days. Of course, the baby died, and was so hungry in its last days and hours that it was feeding on its own excrement, which was a pretty sad way to go when you're just some innocent baby who can't help herself. So the world is getting more narcissistic. So, we got to stay strong. We got to understand, though, um, things will feel more adversarial, but it doesn't mean that you're more aggressive. It just means that you're more assertive. It just means more that it just means that you are more aware of your surroundings and you are more sensitive to energy, and that you have become the person who decides what gets through and what needs to stay far back. You become the person who decides, the size of the holes in the filter. You decide that. You're probably going to be pretty closed off to people for a while until you draw strength and you heal from your own personal situation by removing yourself from the negative energy of your narc. So I'm talking in circles at this point, but trust yourself. Trust that you know what you're talking about. And if you find that you're wrong, apologize. Maybe the person didn't mean to do something to you. Always allow for the possibility that you may be wrong. I know that sounds like a contradiction, but trusting yourself can also mean messing up and knowing that you messed up, but you had the best of intentions, and that you now have a responsibility to make that mess up right. But yeah, trust yourself. Um, Also allow people to be human and allow them to make mistakes. Not everything is narcissism. Try to be balanced. But watch people and don't be afraid to think about their actions and what their actions meant. It doesn't mean you're paranoid. It means that it's basically sociology. It's basically a psychological analysis. You're trying to figure out what produced a certain feeling or a certain interaction. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, be prepared to be more circumspect. Be prepared to think a little bit more, as cheesy as it sounds, like a warrior. You know, you have to defend yourself against narcs. And if need be, sometimes you got to get down in the dirt and attack a little bit. Sometimes you gotta let people that know that they can't play in your fucking face. I had a brief example, an interaction, just a social interaction that was pretty disrespectful. Someone trying to be disrespectful toward me, trying to be insulting and or rude, and talk about my personal business, and do so in a very disrespectful fashion. And basically, this is the type of person that'll go ahead and throw a punch, hide their hands, and then pretend to be some little goody two shoes, right? And, this is a person who had previously run another person out of our social circle, ran her out of our social circle, excuse me, because he had a romantic interest in her. This is what my speculation, but she didn't share those feelings. And because she didn't share those feelings, he went out of his way to make any interaction with her very negative because he couldn't get the things he wanted out of her. So, she just made a decision to not deal with the nonsense. And she said, if that guy is going to be there, I'm not going to be there. Why deal with it? And so she didn't, and she took off. And I don't blame her. Me personally, in the few conversations I had with her, I said I would have stood my ground and ignored him and let him get frustrated and leave. Why the fuck should you leave? But people do things they want to do, and they make the decisions they want to make. But to get back to my situation, I had to go ahead and deal with this guy who, as I said, likes to throw punches and hide his hands. And the other side of him is he's like an attention seeking child. He's always in your face. He's like 38 years old, but he's in your fucking face. Always seeking validation like a little boy. If you ever see a little kid like, Mom, look, Mom, you're not looking. Look, Mom, look, like that. But only in a 500-pound man who's 38 years old. Okay, so it's rather annoying to watch this literal Raiders of the Lost Ark fucking huge cannonball figure, fuck with you and then try to get you to give him a pat on the back and give him a good old attaboy. But I had to go ahead and start ignoring him to his face. He'd say shit and look at me with that expected face, and I'd just be like, and I did it because it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable when you speak to someone and you know that they heard you and they don't respond. And they don't feel any shame or embarrassment about not responding. That's an attack. That's me being the warrior without having to lift a finger. I don't have to fucking square up with the guy. I don't have to call him names. I don't have to fucking put him down. I don't even have to have a conversation. I don't even have to point out, hey, you did a thing and I don't like that. I'm just going to make you feel real uncomfortable. Because really, what are you going to do? You knew what you did was wrong, you know, and you knew because you hid your hands after you threw the punch. You knew what the fuck you did was wrong. Why should I make you feel at ease in any way when you're trying to come and get your pound of flesh from me energetically? You know? And for this particular guy, it's like, you know what? You're not going to fight me because you're going to lose. One swing and you're going to be out of breath. You're going to fucking lose. So you can't see me on that physical side. I'm smarter than this guy. And I don't repulse women to the fact or to the point to where they leave the fucking city and refuse to hang out. So what's he gonna do except stand there and feel every fucking iota of the shame he should feel for doing inappropriate things, you know? And the main lesson is to feel the wrongness of what other people do and not allow that to make you feel like you can go ahead and accept the wrong shit you do, because I'm still checking myself. I'm going to war with myself. I'm getting my spider sense tingles when I'm doing fucked up shit too. So it's been a very beautiful awakening going no contact. This video is going a little bit long, but I hope you guys understood the message. Again, you're going to feel like you're in combat energetically. You're going to feel like, oh my god, there's so many narcs out here, I had no idea. You knew, you just couldn't name it. Now is the time to get strong and to make sure that you are an impenetrable fortress, and to make sure that you still allow for people to be human beings. It's a balance, and it's hard, and it's going to take a lifetime to perfect it, and that's about it.